There have been many times in NASCAR history where its rules and integrity were left as broken as the McDonald's ice cream machine. We've seen Clint Bowyer's itchy arm fundamentally reshape NASCAR as we know it. We've seen Stewart-Haas Racing stick their hand in the cookie jar of single-source parts. Plus, we've seen teams and manufacturers try to manipulate the outcome of the NASCAR championship. Those are all things that the average NASCAR fan is well aware of. But what if there are cheating scandals that the public doesn't know about? Cases of good old NASCAR politics. One of the biggest unconfirmed stories of cheating relies with the Junior Johnson and Associates team in 1994. On the surface level, Jimmy Spencer and the number 27 McDonald's team had 2 statement wins. However, some in the NASCAR industry have publicly stated that they believe that this number 27 car was cheated up. This is the story of how NASCAR allegedly gave the Junior Johnson team an illegal advantage in order to keep McDonald's investing in the sports league. So in 1994, when it came to the number 27 team's performance, let's just say they had a McFlurry of issues. The tone of their season was set early by Jimmy Spencer. Spencer, in that 1994 season, was a driver that many wished would be sent to the McNugget fryer. Races like Talladega and North Wilkesboro soured the reputation between himself and the NASCAR garage. Now, I'm not going to dive too much into Jimmy Spencer's 1994 considering I already have a video regarding that topic. However, to TLDR things, Jimmy Spencer had the reputation of being an over-aggressive driver without any of the results to show for it. So considering that their driver had a fried reputation, you can only imagine that the public perception of the McDonald's car in NASCAR was not great. Their only screen time was not because of driver excellence, but rather dumb mistakes by Spencer and a lot of crashes. Because of that, the 1995 NASCAR silly season started to swirl around the Golden Arches. The rumor at the time was that McDonald's, the fast food giant, was looking to redistribute their 7-figure NASCAR sponsorship elsewhere. For NASCAR, losing the McDonald's sponsorship would be devastating. McDonald's wasn't just the official fast food of NASCAR and a company that invested millions into professional auto racing. This corporation was also one of the most unique sponsors in the 90s. When you look back at that time period, NASCAR sponsorship was still centered around car culture. McDonald's was one of the few NASCAR sponsors that appealed to everyone, especially children. Whether it was the fattening fried foods, the sugary ice creams and sodas, or the colorful Happy Meal toys that most times they would get sick of after 20 minutes, kids loved McDonald's. Retaining McDonald's as a sponsor was detrimental to NASCAR's growth. Keeping them in the series meant that you would have a sponsor in McDonald's creating marketing campaigns with their product to younger generations. As a result, younger generations are going to see NASCAR as cool and fun because they're partnering with McDonald's. Thus, it increases the likelihood of having a generation that is hooked on your product for decades and buys all things NASCAR. Whether that's buying the tickets to go to races or the merchandise related to the drivers they love. The France family was seeing the cash that was going to roll in if they had McDonald's be one of their sponsors for the long haul. That is why many believe that the higher-ups in Daytona Beach, Florida would do literally anything to keep McDonald's in the series. even if that meant that NASCAR bent their rules a little bit to cater to the McDonald's CEO at the time, Michael Quinlan. So, how could NASCAR cater to McDonald's? Putting on the creative cap for a second, there are plenty of great ideas. Maybe NASCAR lets McDonald's be the windshield sponsor of every car in the field, Fig Newton style. Maybe instead of confetti at every single race, you have McDonald's French fries shower on the winning driver. Or perhaps NASCAR lets the Junior Johnson team manipulate the rules, tells the other teams to back off to allow the McDonald's car to win 2 races in such an exciting fashion.
It's going to be a drag race to the checkered flag. Jimmy Spencer wins it. Coming to the stripe. It's Spencer.
On July 2nd, 1994, Jimmy Spencer would win McDonald's their first race as a sponsor in the NASCAR Cup Series. McDonald's was on the winning side of, at the time, the closest finish in NASCAR history. To this day, you will still see this side-by-side photo finish replayed on NASCAR social media pages as well as the broadcasts themselves. In the long run, McDonald's got a recurring product placement considering that they were part of such an iconic finish. However, in the short term, it added some prestige to the McDonald's brand in NASCAR considering that they beat the Yates racing team and one of the greatest superspeedway racers in the 90s, Ernie Irvan. This was a remarkable win for the McDonald's team that had been struggling all season, but the thing is, the number 27 Junior Johnson program was not done yet. Just a few weeks later, Jimmy Spencer completed the McDouble. The McDonald's car won both of the July Superspeedway races in 1994. Jimmy Spencer was no longer the biggest loser, and he certainly was no Ronald McDonald. Instead, he had the charm of Grimace, the wings of Birdie to soar to greatness, and a team that stole races like the Hamburglar stole burgers. Okay, you guys are probably wondering, what the fuck do I mean with that last statement? So, on the surface level, you could say that the Junior Johnson Associates team stole these races because of how ridiculous their cars were. Junior Johnson, throughout his NASCAR Cup Series career as a driver and an owner, was always on the forefront of innovation. Throw in an incredible chassis builder like Banjo Matthews replenishing Junior Johnson's fleet. What the two came up with for the July Superspeedway races was a superspeedway car that made them rethink their entire program. Now, in 1994 and still in 2025, some will say that this was just a damn good race car that Junior Johnson and Banjo Matthews built. They deserve all the credit for building a car that went out and beat some of the superspeedway heavyweights in those 2 races. However, there were, at the time and still are, some tinfoil hats out there that are not buying these victories. One of those naysayers was John Bickford, the stepfather to Jeff Gordon. Bickford was not buying that Jimmy Spencer won these 2 races on pure talent alone. He believed that this car was cheated up in order to keep McDonald's into NASCAR. While some of you out there might be saying, oh, this isn't valid, this is just him pulling something out of his ass. At the same time, McDonald's was an associate sponsor for Jeff Gordon at that time, so perhaps maybe he knew a little something behind the scenes. So in what ways did NASCAR make sure that the McDonald's car had a slight advantage to go out there and win those 2 races? According to Bickford, that relies with the number 27 car's slider manifold, as he believed that it had up to 30 more horsepower than any other car in the field. Since the number 27 car had that slider mold, which increased horsepower by improving the airflow inside of the car's engine, Spencer was able to go out there and win. Okay, still not convinced or still not 100% believing that this could be true or valid? Well, in 1995, the Junior Johnson and Associates team would get a massive engine penalty. In the 1995 Speed Weeks, the engine of the Brett Bodine number 11 car was assembled improperly according to NASCAR. Getting into the specifics and the nitty-gritty, they were caught because they did not have the inset of the intake manifold welded on properly. Triplett described the advantage the 11 had, as since the manifold was not welded on properly, that meant that more airflow was going to move through the engine, resulting in more speed. Interesting. This aligns with the accusations that Bickford had about the number 27 car in 1994. To make things even more damning, when Junior Johnson was interviewed about getting caught, he admitted that he was caught legally one time. This implied that Junior Johnson did not get away with it in 1995, but perhaps in a season like 1994, NASCAR saw they had an illegal manifold and let them race with it. Now, what makes the timing of this penalty more ironic was that Junior Johnson and Associates for 1995 did not have McDonald's as a sponsor. McDonald's would move over to the Bill Elliott Racing Team and sponsor none other than Bill Elliott. Flashing through the next few years, McDonald's would sponsor drivers like Casey Kane, Jamie McMurray, Kyle Larson, and now in 2025, the 2311 team with both Bubba Wallace and Tyler Reddick. Clearly, those two wins worked because McDonald's has remained a strong supporter in NASCAR despite the declining ratings, as well as McDonald's being one of the most cursed sponsors in NASCAR history. So yeah, things worked out for NASCAR, and this is several decades removed, but in 2025, the legitimacy of these wins is still debated. In 2024, Jimmy Spencer decided to hop on the download with Dale Jr. to talk about this incident. Despite Jr. trying to make him feel comfortable to share more information about this car, Jimmy Spencer passed off the allegations of cheating, crediting Banjo Matthews for the fast car. That is the last known thing about this mixed slider scandal, which is one of the most interesting rumored cheating stories in NASCAR history. To this day, there is no tangible proof that Jimmy Spencer's car had an illegal slider manifold in any of his wins. However, I think back to Jimmy Spencer's quote after the 2001 Pepsi 400 when he said that Dale Jr. had a fictitious car. Sure, these comments might just be Mr. Excitement being Mr. Excitement, or maybe he knew something. Just maybe Jimmy Spencer knew some backdoor secrets. Just maybe it is fact that NASCAR let the Junior Johnson team run an illegal slider manifold in order to let the McDonald's brand have the prestige of winning 2 Cup Series races.